Hey, let's talk about games.
Hello again, my friend. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going through Wrath and Glory, making your online Roll20 games a lot easier. Now, there is an inline sheet that can be used, but we are going to be playing around with some macros today. We're going to be making the dice rolls a lot easier, and I'm not talking about simple macros, just rolling multiple d6. I'm talking about actually making your life a little bit easier, so stay tuned. So what we're going to do to start off with is talk about the disaster that is just mashing the roll plenty of d6 button. It's not an ideal option because what you have to do within Wrath and Glory is count how many 4s and 5s you have, they will count as 1, and count how many 6s you have, and that counts as 2. If we go over to the side here, you can see we have quite a mess, really, quite a mess of dice, and you go through, okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Every now and again you'll miss one, and in the heat of battle, at least my group have found this to be a little bit clumsy and a little bit slower sometimes than necessary, especially when lots of people are throwing rolls in. It can really sort of slow down and not be as fun as it could be, or perhaps as easy to interpret as I'd like it to be. Let me show you something that looks a lot better by clicking my magical dice button down here in the bottom left. Now we're going to be throwing, let's throw 10 dice. How's about that? So what we've done is we've thrown 1 Wrath dice. By the way, we got a complication. That's a little red down there. And we have a total of 5 successes. What you'll notice on the previous roll is that number 59 is just a total, the sum total of all of the dice. This new number, number 5, is the actual total number of successes we have in accordance with Wrath and Glory's system. Now the question is, how did we do this? How do we get the cool looking pictures? How does all of this work? And that's what we're going to go through right now. And it's very, very easy to do. What I'm going to do, down in the description is going to be a link to a Google Doc. Everything you need to copy and paste will be there. I'm going to do all of the legwork for you. All you have to do is right click, save a few images. We're going to make 2 tables and then we're going to make a bunch of macros. Let's go through that right now. So what we're going to be doing to begin with is going over to the macro section. If you're not familiar with that, that's over on the right hand side of your Roll20, and you're going to be clicking and bringing up this lovely list over here on the right. Now you see I've got quite a few macros set up. You're going to be scrolling right to the bottom. If you don't have rollable tables, it's probably because you're not the GM or DM. They can allow players to make them too, so if you want to make it for your GM, just ask for permission. So what we're going to do, we're going to bring up the roll table first. We're going to need 2 tables, and if you're making them, I would go with the exact same names I have. Otherwise, the macros aren't going to work. Well, they would do if you changed all of the other names. So what we do is we bring that open, and then we go through it in a little bit of detail. Right, so now we've got this roll table open, what we can do is we can make this rollable table customizable to our dice. So what we're going to be doing is going through every single one of these table items. We're going to be adding in 6 total dice. This is for the roll table first. We've got all of the images down below if you just want to right click and save them. Nice and easy, just drag and drop them in. I found browsing for files manually didn't work. I had to drag and drop it out of my folder to put it in. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on one of these and we're going to go for name is always going to be, and again this is all in the spreadsheet, the name is going to be the value of the dice. So 1s, 2s and 3s will be a 0, 4s and 5s will be value 1, and value 2 for a 6. Now what we're going to do as well is weight is going to be 1 for each. What that will mean is there's 6 entries, they're each weighted 1, so it's a 1 in 6 chance for each dice, so you're not fudging the numbers to make things a bit easier. Would be very tempting though to edit the table just to pee off your GM. Could be an idea. So what we've got here now is a bunch of dice with all of the everything we need basically to roll on. So then what we need to do is use a macro to roll on this table and actually generate these dice. Now there's a little bit of a trick to this. What we're going to do is we're going to close this down for it. No, we'll leave it open for a second. If we go over on the right hand side and we bring up roll 1, let's see how this works. Right, now we're on the edit macro screen again. I'd keep the names just the same as I've got here. Otherwise, when you copy and paste some of the longer formulas, nothing's going to work. So what we're going to do for this is we're going to roll 1 Wrath dice. Now, Wrath dice I've done a separate table for. Reason being, and the only difference in that table is that the 1 and the 6 is red. I haven't done the 2, 3 and 4 being red, or the 5, because I want the 1 and the 6, the narrative rolls to really stick out. You can see over on the side here a nice big juicy red red 1. Sticks out like a sore thumb. If it's anything else, it's not a problem. So what you have to do though with these macros is you will have to go -1 for the rolls here. So we'll go 1 table wrath. You see that? Let's bring up another macro. Let's bring up 10. So here I say let's roll 10d6 just to make it really obvious so the DM can just make sure you're not hacking. Then we're going to roll 9 over here, 9 dice from table roll and 1 dice from table wrath. Really, really simple, guys. This is really, really simple, but it works beautifully. What we'll do is we'll just test this macro here. Pop, there we go. Thaddeus rolls 10d6 and you can see I've got a total of 12 successes instantly, and you can see I have 4 skulls, meaning 4 points, and then I have another 3, 4 exalted as well, giving me another 8. Sorry. So that's the system. Now you're probably thinking, yeah, Hydra, that's great, but what about brutal weapons? What about brutal? And also, what's with the little red things on the dice? Well, that's the beauty of this. This is going to work absolutely wonderfully. If this player had a brutal weapon, they take their 12 successes and then they look through for the dice with a little red sort of nibble on it. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 with a little red corner. So that means +4 successes if you've got a brutal weapon, because each one of those would be +1 if it was brutal. So some of the skulls won't have a bit of red, they're the 4s. Some of the skulls will have a bit of red, they're the 5s. So all you need to do is add up these successes and then add on the red ones as well manually. So you still got a little bit of counting, a little bit of fun. For me, this has worked really, really well. I've done a little trial, a little test already, and it's just been an absolute beauty because I still like counting some of the dice, looking and seeing all of the juicy icons as well. I think this is just very visually pleasing, and it still has a lot of the fun aspect of this for me, at least in terms of rolling dice and seeing what happens. It's just a little bit of a time saver, really, to have the total given to you straight away, especially if you're someone that's just getting a little bit confused and overwhelmed by all of the role play and all of the stuff happening, and you just want it to happen quickly. You don't want to be sat there counting dice for ages. So honestly, I think this will probably speed up your combat a little bit, but the question is, how do we use this? There's one more macro to go. You don't have to use this, but if we go over to the the dice macro up here, you'll see that's the only one within bar ticked. So we hover over this. Now this has got quite a lot of juicy information on it over here. Now this is basically saying, here's a bunch of values and this is what macro they're going to do. This is why I say keep all the names the same. So what we'll do is we'll test this macro and see what happens. Ta-da! So we test this and it asks me how many dice I want to roll. So I'm going to click, let's go for 14 dice. I think that's the most I'm ever going to roll. Click submit. There you go, you've rolled 13 dice and 1 wrath dice. And fortunately, we didn't get a complication. 9 successes overall, not particularly great. But that is the system, that's how it works. Down in the description below will be a link to the Google Docs, so you can do this all yourself. All you've got to do is copy and paste it. I've done all the hard work for you. Let me know what you think, guys. Let me know if it could be improved, if you think something could be janked a little bit, made a little bit better. But for me, I really like this system. It allows me still the pleasure of rolling dice and seeing them, and it just makes things a little bit more visually pleasing, as well as a little bit more convenient, adding up all of the total icons, etc. and exalted, and giving those people that are using brutal weapons a little bit of a bonus. Guys, hope you enjoy the video. I'll see you again soon. Take care.